This week, Kelly Ripa, host of Live with Kelly and Mark, has touched on a number of delicate subjects. In particular, a lot of friends are struggling after losing everything in the fires in California. However, she sobs live as she laments a devoted friend, stating, "She was my fourth kid." Everything is being questioned by Kelly Ripa. Kelly Ripa, host of Live with Kelly and Mark, makes an effort to keep the show positive most of the time. She does, however, occasionally show vulnerability and discuss various events in her private life. Since her husband, Mark Consuelos, co-hosts, it is obvious that they discuss their personal lives even when they are on the air. But recently, when she re-examined a tough choice that was imminent in their lives, she became very emotional. When Kelly talked about her longtime friend and family member Chewy earlier in the week on Friday, January 17, she couldn't contain her tears. She wants to know if she has treated her well enough throughout her life. But everything is being questioned by her. Kelly Ripa is emotional and sobs live. "She was the fourth child I had." On January 14, National Dress Up Your Pet Day, Mark Consuelos mentioned how their dog, Lena, detests wearing costumes, so much so that when they dress her, she will remain still. He also mimicked the way she glares at them. Michael Gilman just revealed that Kelly Ripa had sobbed for her ailing old dog, Chewy, on the nation's day. But when Gilman set up Kelly and Mark to discuss how to care for your senior pet, the touchy subject came up again. Knowing that his gesture was expressly intended to support them during the difficult process of letting Chewy go, Kelly was grateful. Kelly is distraught as Chewy makes his way towards the Rainbow Bridge's entrance. As the subject of pets came up, Mark saw that Kelly wasn't all right. "Are you okay?" he asks. As she struggled to continue, Kelly said, "She's my fourth child, but she's the best dog." She asked fans to share their thoughts about her adorable puppy, Chewy, as she struggles with seeing him becoming less and less active. She essentially simply wishes Chewy would express her desires to her. When dogs reach a certain point, their owners find it extremely painful to let them go. She can't picture a life without her, but regrettably, she doesn't want her to suffer. She was by her side while she raised Joaquin Consuelos, 21, Lola, 23, and Michael, 27. And before Lena, who is 4 years old, entered the family, Chewy was the baby for a very long period. "I am so sorry. I apologize for my small breakdown," she says after gathering herself. "I'm sorry." Fans provided input following the Tuesday show. Kelly Ripa talked about how many people, including her friends, reached out to her for guidance during the Friday Live episode. Similarly, after posting on Instagram that her sick dog was deteriorating, Kelly Ripa received some of the correspondence she had asked for. For assistance with hospice and in-home choices similar to her circumstances, one admirer recommended that she check out Lap of Love. Kelly is receiving conflicting views on whether it is time to let Chewy go, much like her pals. But a lot of people believed that the time was approaching. What guidance would you give Kelly Ripa during this difficult period? Has an elderly animal passed away? Is it unreasonable to blame Kelly for taking the time to process the difficult feelings that came with sharing Chewy's facts with the audience of Live with Kelly and Mark? The morning started like any other on Live with Kelly and Mark. The lights glowed softly on the set. The studio audience clapped with its usual infectious energy, and Kelly Ripa walked out with her trademark bright smile, holding hands with her husband and co-host, Mark Consuelos. But from the very first moments, it was clear this would not be an ordinary show. Kelly, often quick with quips and laughter, carried a heaviness in her eyes. Fans noticed her hand clutched Mark's a little tighter than usual, her shoulders leaning toward him for strength. As the couple settled into their chairs, Mark shot her a supportive look, already knowing what was coming. Kelly had a story to share, one she had been dreading. A heartbreaking loss. With her voice trembling, Kelly began, "I'm going to try to get through this without crying, but I make no promises. Yesterday, our family said goodbye to someone who meant so much to us. She wasn't just a pet, not just a companion, she was my fourth kid." The audience fell silent, their smiles fading as Kelly dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. She was with us for nearly 16 years, Kelly continued, her words slowing as tears welled. We adopted her when Lola was still little, and from that moment on, she became part of our family. She was at every milestone. The kids' graduations, their heartbreaks, our holidays. She knew our routines better than we did, and yesterday we had to say goodbye. Mark, equally emotional but steady, reached over and placed a hand on her shoulder. She was truly a member of our family, he said softly. Though Kelly didn't say the name at first, longtime fans knew she was speaking about Lena, the family's beloved dog. Kelly's bond with Lena. Through the years, Kelly has shared countless anecdotes about her pets on air, often joking that Mark was the strict parent, while she spoiled them with treats and cuddles. But Lena, she admitted, was different. I used to say she was my shadow, Kelly recalled. She'd follow me from room to room. If I was working in the kitchen, she'd curl up right by my feet. If I was reading, she'd nudge the book out of the way because, obviously, she deserved all the attention. She had this way of looking at me that made me feel like she could read every thought in my head. Truly, she was my fourth child. Her voice cracked as she described Lena's final days. She slowed down so much, but she still had that spark in her eyes. Yesterday, when it was time, I swear she knew. She gave us one last wag of her tail, almost like she was telling us, "It's okay, Mom. You did enough." By then, Kelly's tears were flowing freely. Mark leaned in, wrapping an arm around her as the audience, visibly touched, clapped gently in support. Fans react in real time. The outpouring from fans was immediate. Audience members later shared on social media that tissues were being passed hand-to-hand in the studio, strangers comforting one another as they watched Kelly's heartbreak. One fan tweeted, "Kelly crying about her dog on air had me sobbing at work. I know that feeling, it's losing family." Another posted, "She called her dog her fourth kid, and I get it. Pets are family." Sending love to Kelly, Mark, and their children. Emails and messages flooded the show's inbox. Viewers across the country empathized deeply, many writing to say Kelly's words helped them process their own grief over lost pets. Mark's steady support. While Kelly wept, Mark played the role he often does best, steadying his wife while giving her space to grieve openly. He spoke tenderly about Lena, recalling how she would greet him at the door after long filming days. "She had this little prance," he said with a small smile. "Her legs would barely keep up with her excitement. No matter how stressful my day was, seeing her jump around like that made everything better." Mark also admitted he had been hesitant when the family first adopted Lena years ago. "But she won me over instantly," he confessed. "I became her person for late-night snacks and sneaky trips outside. She was loyal, funny, stubborn, everything you'd want in a friend." Kelly wiped her eyes, laughing softly. "She loved you. But make no mistake, Mark, she was a mama's girl." The audience chuckled with her, a moment of light amid the grief. More than entertainment. Kelly's emotional honesty struck a chord not just because of her celebrity status, but because it underscored something universal: the depth of love we have for the animals who share our lives. "She wasn't just a dog," Kelly repeated, her voice soft but clear. "She was a teacher. She taught me patience. She taught me unconditional love. She reminded me that even on the hardest days, there's always room for joy. And she gave us 16 years of that joy." Her admission blurred the line between talk show host and grieving mother. In that moment, Kelly wasn't performing. She was simply human, hurting in front of millions, and letting others see that vulnerability. A tribute on air. As the segment ended, the screen behind them lit up with a slideshow of photos. Lena as a puppy curled up in Lola's lap. Lena bounding across a beach with Joaquin. Lena dressed in a festive red bow at Christmas, and Lena nestled beside Kelly on the couch. The audience awed softly, some even crying along with the hosts. Kelly placed her hand over her heart as the images rolled. "She was love. Pure love. And I'll miss her forever." Mark squeezed her hand tightly. "But she'll always be part of us," he said. The camera captured Kelly nodding, tears glistening on her cheeks but a faint smile tugging at her lips. Moving forward. By the time the show transitioned into lighter segments, the mood had shifted. Kelly, though still teary-eyed, managed to joke about her mascara being ruined. "This is why I wear waterproof everything," she said, drawing a laugh from the audience. But even in laughter, the loss lingered. Later in the show, she admitted she wasn't sure how quiet the house would feel without Lena's paws clicking against the floor. "It's those little sounds you miss the most," she said. Still, Kelly reminded viewers of something vital. Grief is the price of love. And I wouldn't trade a single second of the love we had with her to avoid this sadness now. Her words hung in the air long after the segment ended. A shared grief. By the close of the broadcast, viewers weren't just watching a host mourn a dog. They were mourning alongside her. It was a shared grief, stitched together by memories of wagging tails, cold noses, and the irreplaceable joy of four-legged family members. Kelly Ripa, often the epitome of glamour, wit, and professionalism, had let the world glimpse the rawest part of her heart. And in doing so, she reminded everyone that behind the camera lights, she is simply a mother who lost her child in a different form. "She was my fourth kid," Kelly repeated once more before the commercial break. Her voice broke again, but this time she smiled through her tears. "And I'll carry her with me always." Drop your comments below.